Hi, this is Chris from Optinet, and today we're going to look at schemes in Flex. So, what are schemes? Well, they're payment plans, regular monthly payments to split the cost of goods sold, usually to pay for recurring orders such as contact lenses and the relevant solutions in chair time. But they can also be used to split the cost of a pair of spectacles over a certain amount of months, be it the complete balance or perhaps half of it, which has been paid up front, or to split the cost of eye care, for example, iPlan or other monthly payment schemes. They're recorded in Flex so you can see what goods have been sold and also to reconcile what should be paid each month with your bank statement. Now, we do have an option with Flex called OPS. That stands for Optical Payment Services, and what that means is that Flex can actually automatically reconcile your payments for you. No intervention required. You'll get notifications if there's any cancellations or issues with your direct debits, and essentially it's put the control in your hands, not the patient's, which they are with standing orders and perhaps third-party direct debit collection agencies too. So we're going to look at two broad parts today. We're going to look at how to add a patient onto a scheme and then how we do that reconciliation, and I'll give you a couple of examples of how this would be used. So to create a scheme, we're going to click onto the patient record in question and then go to Contact Lens and choose Schemes. As I've said, it can be used for anything around spectacles, fees. It does just live under the Contact Lens button, but don't pay too much heed to that. So this here shows my scheme record, and at the moment, like all your records, will be completely blank because we haven't put this patient on a scheme. To do that, I'm going to press the green plus for new, and it's going to open up a new patient scheme record. Think of this in three broad parts. I'm going to concentrate on this this wide and rather short rectangle across the top first, number one, number two for payment details, and number three for the package. Wherever we see a drop down in Flex, of course, we can customize those results. So I'm just going to call this payment plan. You can choose the types under the setup and choose schemes, and also the bank account the money goes into. Not too important to put this on here. I've just got a couple of examples. This is in our Flex default, practice direct debit or practice standing order. The notes box I might put in here, for example, also pays for patient number 123. Any notes that you want to put on, that's absolutely fine. So let's look at the payment details. There are options, more of a legacy feature in Flex, to be able to put in all of the bank details, sort code and account number, and then export those details out of Flex, which you could then import into your own online banking to be able to do a reconciliation that way. Generally, that's been superseded by OPS, which I mentioned, Optical Payment Solutions, which means that you're able to actually reconcile everything through Flex directly. So I'm just going to choose Practice Direct Debit, leave sort code and account number blank, and it's got the statement name here. So we'll leave that as my name, Mr. Flex Training. So first payment date, we can choose the date that the first payment is going to be received. Of course, a lot of people with direct debits, be it in practice or without, would often take the first payment over the till by card. So really it's from month two, but that's for you to sort out yourselves. So I'm going to say I'm going to start paying from the 15th of June. I wouldn't generally recommend having more than perhaps 2 collection dates a month, just for the sake of simplicity. Always something to be said for it. So the due date now is the 15th, and we can choose the months that the payments are expected. Little tip, right click here, and if I choose monthly, it's generated all of the payments which I'm going to need. I can add an end date here. So a lot of contracts these days, from our mobile phone to our gym membership, they just roll, don't they? There's a minimum term, but they would keep on going. So I would say don't add an end date. The exception might be if this was spreading the cost of spectacles, in which case you are wanting to add an end date on, and you can do that by pressing click and end date. Pricing method, what that one's for, fixed or variable. It's on variable by default. If you were to change the price of packages, then it will automatically update someone payment plan. So if your chair time goes up from £9 to 10, then it will automatically update that for you. Fixed means even if you do change package prices, it won't. It's probably best to have it on that one, just to save all the writing to and correspondence with patients if you are needing to do that. So now we're going to choose what I've got on my scheme. What am I actually paying for? So there's 5 buttons along the top here, and there's a couple of ways to do this. Firstly, I could use a package. So for example, if I was just going to be paying my chair time, I've generated a package called chair time, and I can share where to do that in the setup in a bit. But if I just choose chair time, what it's going to do is work out that's £120 a year, so that's £10 per month. And what that's made up of, I've just chosen completely contact lens fees. It is quite important what you choose here, because there's VAT connotations to it. So you could still build up a contact lens fee, a private exam, and an OCT. because what it's doing is it's looking there at the VAT connotation. Broadly speaking, schemes will be in three parts: fully VAT exempt for your fees, fully VATable for your solutions, and then partially exempt for any contact lenses, frames and lenses. So I just generated this. If I was just purely on the chair time, that's it. But if I wanted to, I could add on any stock items. So if I was splitting the cost of some spectacles, we'll look at that in my example section in a bit. Or if we wanted to bring through some contact lenses to put on there, we can. If you press previous exam, it will look at all that patient's contact lens records and it will bring through the relevant lenses and if it's a monthly lens, a solution as well. So I've just put those lenses on for myself as an example. You can put two prices in the contact lenses in Flex setup. So perhaps patients pay slightly less if they're on the monthly plan versus over the till. I've not priced any of them. So just, again, to keep this simple, I'm going to say £10 per box. That's going to be £20 per month, 10 for the left, 10 for the right. 12 over 12 months, i.e. one each, and that's worked out that my package is here going to be £30. So if I click save, that's going to generate my package. It shows the name of what I'm on, everything that's on the scheme, and it's built the next rolling 12 months of payments ready. If we do need to come in and change any of these payment statuses or amounts on a patient-by-patient basis, we can do that. If I just push update, I can go back in and I can change any of the amounts that are going to become due. And the different statuses, I'll speak about that in the reconciliation module in just a moment's time. So I said there's two places to look at it. Firstly was on the patient record and the contact lens button and schemes. We can see that I owe some money on the till at the moment. If we go past a patient's due date for their scheme, then it'll be flashing in red saying scheme arrears. So just like with till balance, you'll quickly see if that patient owes you any money. So let's see how we actually do that reconciliation in Flex. If I click onto schemes down on the left hand side, what we've got here are all the payments due. So it's got this month by default, and we can see all the different statuses of money due to come in. So with OPS, Optical Payment Services, then all of this will actually reconcile automatically for you, but we're doing this manually with the actual schemes in Flex. So if you've got 100 patients in here, for example, you'll be able to the total amount received, what's exempt, and how much is outstanding, and we can mark them all as received. Indeed, if you've got 100 people and 99 are paid, mark them all as received, and then you can just change the status of the patient in question to what we need. So received is just that. Part paid with standing orders. I mentioned that the power is with the patient, as it were. Then there's a chance that it's only going to be partially paid. It will ask if you want to roll over the remainder to the next month. Unpaid would do the same, saying do you want to roll it all over onto the next month, as an example there. And also exempt council tax, we pay 10 months a year out of a goodwill. If someone's got lots of lenses, you might pause their scheme for a month for them perhaps. Pending is the default, and then submitted again. If there was some automation involved, we could see that. And you'll be able to mark them all in one batch, and you can also print out this information if you wish. And the good thing is, a lot of the reports that you can run in Flex, payments by group for example, it will have an option to include schemes. So if you're wanting to actually get a better figure of your turnover, not just what's gone in over the till, but straight to the bank account, you can include schemes, and there's a couple of other scheme reports which are available in here too. And of course, data mining offers you a chance to drill down into your patient database with that. So what we've looked at there is how we can add a patient to a scheme, and also how we can do the reconciliation. What I thought I'd do is give you a couple of examples of how people do use this and how we'd set it up. So click to menu and setup, and it's going to be schemes that I click to here. Generally speaking, it's just the scheme types and the names of the banks that we saw, but you can generate packages here. So it's not worth doing it for all your contact lens patients. You might have 200 patients on a scheme, but you'll end up with 195 packages because everyone's on a slightly different lens. But for things like the chair time, it's good because we can actually generate it. This gold plan, for example, let's say on this gold plan, we can choose what items you're going to get. So if I press stock item, you're going to get contact lens fees, and let's say they're going to be worth £60, and you're going to get 2 of those per year. And also you're going to get a site test. So you're going to get a private test. That's going to be worth £60, but you're just going to get 1 of those. That's generated a package for £15, so it would save building it each time. So you can build packages just like this. Okay. Let's have a look at a couple of examples of how I've seen this used in practice. So it could be someone going on to the monthly payment plan. We've looked at how we could do that. Also, if they're having their contact lenses with or without the chair time, we've seen how we could do that. But what someone might have is they've had their dispense that's been put through. Here's a Blue Peter one I made earlier. And on here, it's got my examination, a frame, and some lenses. And this is the total to be paid. So what it might be is that I'm going to pay part of this up front, and then the rest is going to be put over a 12-month payment plan for me. What we can do is we'll choose how I'm going to pay the initial amount. And what would we pay off here? We could choose to pay off exactly how much we wanted to. Say, well, I'll pay £100 now and put the rest on. But most commonly what people do is they might want to take all the money for the fees and the sundries and solutions, because they've obviously been dispensed and given out the practice today. And then they're going to spread the cost of the spectacles or the contact lenses over the remaining 12 months. What you can do under the setup, under till and sales groups, is set how much deposit goes off each item. So deposit, the rule of thumb is it'd be 50%. You're probably thinking, well, 180, let's call it £180 there, 179.50. That's more than half. That's because it's paying off all of the fees and then a proportion of what remains. So if I press deposit, it's going to pay that off, and that would leave me £144.50 to put onto my scheme. Of course, that is still showing on the till. So I'm just going to press to payment plan, and essentially that's going to write this payment off on the till now. We're going to see it as a write-off because we're not going to take that over the till. We're actually going to put this onto a payment plan. And again, the patient can see all that on their receipt. There's plenty of help on the portal, or you can raise a ticket through flexhelp.co.uk if you do want a hand with generating the buttons that you need. So £144.50 is what I'm going to have to pay. So what I could do is create a new scheme for myself. Again, don't worry too much about the one that's there already. Say, right, on the payment plan, this patient's going to pay on the 4th of the month. They're going to pay for 12 months. I will add an end date on this one because it's only covering the cost of my spectacles. And what I'm going to do is just press stock item, and I've got an item here called payment plan. And 144.50 was the amount, so it's going to give us slightly messier figure per month on that one. What's it giving us? £12 and 4p. If you're wanting to discount that just to round it down, or even add another item to round it up a bit, you can do. But that's generated all the payments which I'm now due to create. I'm already on a scheme, which is why it's giving me a little bit of a message there. There we go. So that's now generated the payment plan of £12 and 4p to pay each day. And I'm due to pay today, so my scheme arrear is being shown in there. So that's an example of how you could split the cost of some work by taking some of it up front and then the rest going on to a payment plan. A couple of bits of setup to do there, notably around making sure that your different sales groups, your VAT departments, are taking the right amount of money for each one, deposit-wise. And perhaps a till button to check as well. But again, I did mention the VAT connotation. In my experience, it can be a little bit of a grey area, monthly payment plans. So how we've built this in Flex with the sum of the parts, yes, it could look a little bit more labour intensive at face value. But the reason for that is because actually it is really important for your VAT connotation. And if we were to look back at reports that included schemes, then obviously we get a full VAT breakdown with that. So, to summarise what we've looked through there, we've gone through how we can add a patient to a scheme, how we can do the reconciliation, and all of the relevant setup, plus a couple of examples of how people use it to spread the cost of payments. And it is worth mentioning as well the loyalty function in Flex, not to do with schemes directly, but it's quite useful because a lot of the time with the schemes, people get discounts. So, for example, if I'm on the scheme, all of my fees are going to be completely free of charge. What we can do is add what's called a loyalty plan. So as I say, separate to schemes, you can find this under the portal. Your keyword is loyalty, or you can click on to till and loyalty plans. So I just call this gold plan. For different sales departments, you can say, right, for anything up to £1,000, they're going to get 10% off frames, and all of their fees up to £1,000 are going to be 100% discount, i.e. they're going to be free. To add the patient onto that loyalty plan, if I just go back to my record, then what I can do on the patient record itself is assign to a loyalty plan. And if I choose gold plan, I'm going to see that graphically illustrated everywhere I use Flex. So gold plan is shown there. The dispensing frame and lenses would show up with the relevant discounts. I see gold plan on the till. So if I sell a frame for £100, it's automatically discounting, and indeed any fees that go through, we said there's a 100% discount on those. Again, it's quite nice for the patient to see how much they've saved on their receipt. Really useful function, and that's called loyalty. You don't have to use schemes to use loyalty or vice versa, but it's quite useful to be able to do auto discounts on the till. And like I say, really good in dispense because you could see different loyalty pricing, etc. in there too. So quite a bit that we've gone through there. I would recommend that you hop online to our portal. You can click on the blue question mark to open that up. And what you'll find in here is lots of help around that. So for example, if I type in loyalty, then what I can do is actually go through and find out how do you set up loyalty. And it's going to talk you through everything which we've been through. But if you do need a bit of a hand with this, what you can do is click on new support ticket and you can send us your details through there. And one of my team will be able to help out as quickly as we can. It's the kind of thing it might be worth coming to our Flex Academy in our Worcestershire offices for. If you do want to book some training, then please do let me know. You can drop me an email directly. It's chris.gray@optinetuk.com. And the very best of luck with using